Hello everyone, it's Emma and welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to talk about how to have a more low-waste Valentine's Day. I wanted to continue on this little series of how to have zero waste holidays because I've done so now for Easter, Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and I thought I might as well do Valentine's Day as well. Because there's a lot of things around Valentine's Day that are very consumeristic and very wasteful. So I wanted to shed some light on that and then provide you some more eco-friendly alternatives. If you're new here, welcome. I post new videos every Monday and Thursday Japan Standard Time, which is Sunday and Wednesday in the US. So if you're new here and you like my content about free, fun, and easy ways to live low waste, I would love if you subscribed and joined this awesome community. If you find this video valuable or inspirational or even just entertaining, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up. And one last thing, I have noticed a few people have been becoming unsubscribed from my channel because YouTube is kind of doing a remove the bots thing. So if that's one of you, you think you're actually subscribed, definitely check down there just to make sure, and then go ahead and turn on the bell too for post notifications. If I talk a little bit too fast for you, there are two things you can do. You can follow along with the blog post version of this video, linked down below, or you can change the speed of this video using the gear icon right down here. With all that out of the way, let's go ahead and jump right into today's video. The first thing I like to talk about is zero waste chocolates, and this is very vague, so I'm gonna explain in the next few tips. So first is to get chocolates in bulk. If you have a bulk store and they have bulk chocolates, definitely do that because it is a lot less wasteful. But if you don't have access to a bulk bin, there's another thing that you can do as well. So for example, a giant bag of Hershey Kisses is in plastic and then all the individual Hershey Kisses are wrapped. It is aluminum foil, which is recyclable and great, better than plastic, but instead try to find like a big bag with no individual chocolates wrapped inside. So instead of buying a big bag of plastic with lots of little plastic pieces inside, you're just buying one big piece of plastic with no plastic inside. Hopefully that makes sense. And then along those lines too, if you can avoid plastic entirely and you can get your chocolates in cardboard wrapping and paper wrapping, do that too, because again, that's much better than plastic. Tip number 3, still on chocolates, is to get fair trade chocolate. And that is because fair trade chocolate means that the people harvesting the cocoa beans, processing the chocolate, are treated fairly and ethically. There are also a lot of chocolates that are part of the Rainforest Alliance, meaning that they do not contribute to deforestation by making their chocolates. So look for those two certifications when you're buying chocolates this Valentine's Day. Tip number 4 is to eat a meal at home instead of getting takeout, because considering we're still in the midst of COVID-19, most people aren't going to be able to actually go to a sit-down dinner. If your only option is takeout, consider buying the ingredients and just making a meal at home together with your significant other. Not only is this great because you get to bond over a meal and making the meal, but you also prevent a lot of waste as well. If you want to do something a little more spontaneous, I guess, instead of having a dinner at home, you live somewhere in a warm climate in February, you can have a picnic as well. This is a lot easier because you don't necessarily have to cook. You can just get a bunch of like cold cuts, vegan cold cuts, fruit, vegetables, hummus, lots of easy snacky food, and then just take it to go and enjoy your dinner in the park. No matter what meal you choose to have though, the next tip is to avoid a steak this Valentine's Day, because I know that's kind of a fancy meal thing that people go for, is a big steak. But red meat has the biggest carbon footprint out of all the meat. If you can avoid meat altogether, that's awesome. But if you still want to have meat, go for a meat that's not red meat. If you want to learn more about how veganism is better for the planet than eating a traditional standard American diet, you can check out this video up here, also linked down below, and I'll include some resources along those lines as well. The next tip, that's a little taboo, but I'm going to talk about it anyway, is to get eco-friendly lingerie. So most lingerie is made of polyester, it is mass-produced, it is not ethically produced, it is not environmentally consciously produced. That was a lot of adverbs. Instead, opt for a brand that is doing more for the environment and for the people. I will leave an article with several brands to choose from, linked down below. If you want to learn more about the impact of fast fashion and how choosing more sustainable fashion has a better impact for the planet, you can check out this video up here. When it comes to Valentine's Day cards, try to make one for yourself. You probably have a bunch of scrap paper lying around anyway. You might even be able to upcycle some old paper and turn it into a Valentine's Day card instead of buying mass-produced Valentine's Day cards that are single use. And I mean, this goes for like the big gift cards you might give to an adult friend, but this is also like the teeny tiny little cards that your children might take to school. Are people still doing Zoom school? If that's the case, then that avoids a lot of waste, honestly. And then when you do make your own card, please avoid glitter at all costs. Glitter is a microplastic, and if you'd like to learn more about microplastics, you can check out this video up here. So upcycling a card is great, making one yourself is great, because then it has a lot more meaning. The person's probably more likely to keep it, instead of someone receiving 20 Valentine's Day cards and being like, what do I do with these? And then they just throw them away. I talk about this in every single Christmas video I make. I hate cards. I hate them. If you're watching this, never send me a card. A little meaningful note is fine, but I hate mass-produced cards. So wasteful. But if you still, this is an additional tip I just now thought of. If you do still feel the need to buy a card, try to buy one made from recycled paper instead of virgin paper, so that way a tree wasn't cut down to make a single-use card that would probably be thrown away very soon after that person opens it. The next tip though, if you're not into making physical cards, is to make an e-card instead. This is something that we've done for the past 3 years for Christmas. It's just so much easier to distribute that like on Facebook and Instagram for everyone to see. This obviously, well, this could be used if your children are in Zoom, but if your children are still going to like regular school, it's probably not going to work. But this is more along the lines of for your significant other, for your family, for your friends, that sort of thing. If you have kids and they're in school, they probably make those Valentine's Day boxes so that classmates can put them in there. It's kind of like a mailbox, but for Valentine's Day. I hope you know what I'm talking about. Is this just an American thing? Do people do this throughout the rest of the world? I'll throw some photos up on the screen. It's probably just an American thing. Do you celebrate Valentine's Day throughout the rest of the world? I have so many questions. What was I gonna say though? Anyway, back to the point. If your child needs a Valentine's Day box, don't go out and buy a brand new pre-made box. Make one together and make one out of upcycled materials. This was one of my favorite things to do as a kid, and something I guess I didn't realize until now is that we always made them out of upcycled materials or things we already had. We would take shoe boxes and then just cut a little hole on the top, and then we would just add paper and stickers we already had at home, and they would be made out of nothing brand new, which is really cool. So I encourage you to do that as well. Upcycle a box or some other sort of material instead of buying something brand new. The next tip is to avoid perfume, especially buying brand new perfume. I know you might be able to find some like secondhand, which is cool. I was watching, I think it was on Get Mary's Instagram. She's one of my favorite zero waste YouTubers. I'll leave her channel and her Instagram linked below. There's hundreds of flowers that go into making just 1 ounce of perfume because it's a concentrate. Similar to essential oils, it takes so much raw material to make brand new perfume, which is very sad. So if you can avoid the perfume, do that. But if you still feel the need to buy perfume, buy from an eco-friendly brand, a perfume that's maybe made without parabens and other hazardous ingredients, and they're probably more protective of the environment, and go for organic as well. I will leave some resources for finding low waste perfumes linked down below. The next tip is to bake things for yourself instead of buying a bunch of pre-packaged, pre-made things. For example, if you're having a Valentine's Day party at work, you're having Galentine's, instead of buying like a bunch of Little Debbie's or something, make some brownies from scratch, make a cake or cupcakes from scratch, because that uses a lot less packaging and a lot less material. Not to mention you can completely control the flavor and the ingredients, and you can make them taste a lot better too. If you wrap gifts for Valentine's Day, I don't know if anyone really does, but if you do, try to ditch the wrapping paper this Valentine's Day, especially brand new wrapping paper. If you still want to wrap a gift, you can do so by using a blanket, a scarf, like a reusable bag instead, newspaper, tinfoil, any sort of thing you have lying around instead of brand new wrapping paper, because most wrapping paper is not recyclable. Even if it feels like paper, it probably has a thin layer of plastic on it. A lot of wrapping papers are also made out of plastic, and like I already mentioned, avoid the bows, the glitter, the ribbons, because it's all just for show. It gets ripped off and thrown away instantly and then turned into microplastics, and it stays on this earth forever. If you're going out with your significant other this Valentine's Day season, have a low waste date. And what I mean is go stargazing, have a picnic, cook dinner together. You could take a class together or gift them a spa day, something like that, instead of gifting someone a bunch of pre-packaged chocolates and a bunch of and like little stuffed animals and fake flowers, all that sort of stuff. There's a lot of eco-friendly alternatives for that stuff, but instead of giving something material, give them an experience instead. Speaking of flowers, get locally grown flowers. And I don't mean like go to your local florist and buy whatever you see, because not all of them are going to be grown locally. For example, roses are typically grown in Mexico and South America and then have to be shipped to florists. So instead ask your florist, hey, what was grown here in my state, in this region? Like even if it's the Midwest, even if it's just the US, that's still less shipping than from all the way in South America. Or you can even go out and pick some wildflowers for yourself if you have any growing in February. I know a lot of places in the world are still snow covered. As well as get organic flowers. I know we think a lot about organic when it comes to things we eat and put in and on our body, but it's just as important for things like flowers that are just decoration too, because that means that there are less chemicals going into the waterways where these flowers are grown. Instead, the next tip is to give people flower seeds instead of actual flowers. This was something that Dan inspired me to talk about as well, because he gifted me flower seeds last Valentine's Day. And I thought that was such a fun idea because it comes in paper and then I can grow like 30 flowers for myself. And then I just get a little bit of reward knowing that I grew something for myself. And I think that's just as special as giving someone flowers that are pre-cut and are gonna die. Also, I just thought of this right now. Get flowers on clearance. Dan has done that for me a couple times too. Yes, it's still pre-cut flowers and they might not be locally grown, but they're gonna end up in the dumpster of the store anyway. So I might as well enjoy them in my house for a week or two and then compost them properly. The next tip is to avoid new jewelry. This might be be a little controversial, and you might not like me telling you this, but I need to talk about it. I learned a lot about this in The Story of Stuff. I'll leave a link to the book down below. It's really, really great. I encourage you to check it out. But pretty much gold, diamonds, silver require so much energy, time, manpower, and they are so polluting to the earth when they are mined. They are some of the most resource-intensive materials to mine and transform into jewelry, and it is a terrible process for the environment and the people who live in those mining areas. So instead, get some vintage jewelry. Go to the thrift store, the pawn shop, look on Facebook Marketplace for some beautiful jewelry to give your significant other. If that jewelry isn't necessarily in your taste, you can buy the materials, the gold, the diamonds, the silver, and then take it to a jeweler to have them transform it into something you like. For example, my wedding band, I talked about it in my favorite I talked about it in my favorite secondhand items video. I'll leave that linked up here. I'm the 5th person in my family to wear this. It was originally gold. It originally only had 1 diamond. I think it was my grandmother who just didn't like that style. So instead of getting a brand new ring, what she did instead was took it to her jeweler to get it dipped in silver and then add some more diamonds. So they're still brand new, but at least the base ring that was gold was not brand new. My brother just got engaged, and her engagement ring was old diamonds from her family heirlooms. So instead of getting a brand new engagement ring, they repurposed those diamonds into something new. The next tip is to make DIY beauty products like lotions, face scrubs, and other things like that. Even bath salts. I made a really nice bath salt for somebody. It was just out of a big, huge bag of Epsom salt I had, and then I added some essential oils. I did get the essential oils secondhand. The Epsom salts are kind of in bulk. It's still less packaging than buying some bath salts brand new. Same with, you can make a coffee scrub out of old coffee grounds, which is an awesome low waste option to utilize those resources instead of throwing them away. Just be careful not to use coffee scrubs on your face, as they can be a little bit too harsh for your skin. But if that's not your jam, you don't feel like making DIY stuff, not really your thing, you can buy DIY beauty products from some of these companies. I will link down below. Same with makeup. If you need to buy some new makeup for your big date on Valentine's Day, buy from an eco-friendly brand as well. Makeup has a lot of ingredients that are also very resource intensive to mine, and they are also very harmful to the people in those areas and the people who are mining them. Support eco-friendly and ethical makeup instead. And again, I will leave a resource with some brands linked down below. Something else that might be a little bit taboo to talk about on YouTube, but I'm gonna do it anyway, is alcohol. So instead of buying alcohol that's shipped from, if you're in the US, Italy or France or Germany, buy some alcohol from your local brewer or winery, because then the grapes are grown there, it's processed there, it's shipped there, and then you only have to drive down the road, maybe order it online, but it's still a lot less shipping than shipping it halfway across the world. And then the last tip I have is to buy eco-friendly gifts for your significant other, like all the sorts of things I talked about, the alcohol, the chocolate, the flowers, everything in between. But some other options too are making something yourself, a plant, or something you thrifted, just to name a few. I hinted at this earlier, but instead of buying like fake flowers, stuffed animals, cheap jewelry, all that sorts of stuff, find something that's a little more meaningful and that's not so terrible for the planet. That is all I have for this video. I hope that you enjoyed this. I hope that this inspired you to have a more eco-friendly Valentine's Day. If you found any value in this video, I would really appreciate a thumbs up, as well as if you shared this with others so that they can also have an eco-friendly Valentine's Day. And again, this list is not conclusive. There are other ways to have an eco-friendly Valentine's Day, and you don't have to implement every single one of these. Take which ones work best for you this year and run with it, and then maybe next year you can implement some more tips too. If you have any additional tips for how to have a low-waste Valentine's Day, definitely leave them down below. I'd love to check them out. Thank you so much for watching, especially if you stay tuned all the way to the end. It really means a lot to me. And until next time, remember that these small changes you make have a big impact in the long run. Bye guys. I have a hair. Oh man, that's embarrassing. I'm not redoing the first bit though. Oh well. If you're try to ditch the wrapping this holiday season, it might be, there's a lot of eco-friendly alternatives. Or you could even go out and pick some wildflowers. Then he's gonna say hello. No, don't you drink that too. Look up here, buddy. I love you. Can you sit? If you sit, you can stay with me. You have to behave, okay?